There comes a time in life when you enter a room and everything feels off-kilter. You can feel it, the subtle change in atmosphere, the way individuals avoid making eye contact or offer quick, polite smiles that fail to reach their eyes. It's as if you've become invisible, or even worse, an outsider. It strikes you. Something about how you're presenting yourself causes people to look down on you, even if no one verbalizes it. However, the truth is that most of the time, it's not about your identity, but rather the habits you carry, habits that may be distancing people from you without your awareness. I've experienced this too, entangled in behaviors that turned me into my own greatest adversary. But as the Stoics instruct, self-awareness is essential for transformation. Today, we are exploring 7 habits that might undermine your connections and reputation, as well as how Stoic philosophy can assist you in breaking free from them. This journey is about progress, not perfection. If you value what we're sharing, the simple request I have for you is to hit that subscribe button for Vicious Stoic. Trust me, don't skip any part of this video. You won't want to overlook the insights that could alter how others perceive you. Let's dive in. Habit 1. Gossiping. We've all engaged in it at some point, haven't we? It seems almost instinctual, this desire to share the latest news, to be updated on someone else's affairs. It appears innocent, even entertaining, because who doesn't enjoy feeling connected or part of the elite circle? However, the reality is that gossip acts like a double-edged sword. Sure, you might feel a sense of connection in the moment, but every time you disclose someone else's private matters, those around you silently ponder, if they're discussing them behind their back, what are they saying about me? That's where the real harm occurs. Gossip generates a wave of distrust. No one will confide their deeper thoughts or allow you into their private life if they believe you'll share it the moment they're absent. You're constructing walls, not connections. I once believed that gossiping made me more relatable, as if it was a means to break the ice and bond with others. Yet all it accomplished was to drive people away. Conversations remained superficial because no one truly trusted me enough to delve deeper. Here's where Stoicism enters the picture. The Stoics held that what lies beyond our control, such as the lives of others or their affairs, isn't worthy of our attention. Gossiping is the exact contrary. It squanders mental energy on matters we have no control over. Rather than getting caught up in the drama of others, we should focus on managing ourselves, our actions, our words, and our presence in the world. When we engage in gossip, we're not only diminishing others, we're devaluing ourselves. Marcus Aurelius once remarked, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." This is a strong reminder that the energy we invest in discussing others could be better utilized in enhancing ourselves. Additionally, consider this. When you gossip, it often serves as a distraction from confronting your own flaws and struggles. It's much easier to highlight what someone else is doing incorrectly than to face your own discomfort. But that's the essence of Stoicism. It urges you to confront your own reflection. Instead of critiquing what someone else ought to amend, ask yourself, what can I improve in my own life? That simple shift can be transformative. If you find yourself in a setting where gossiping appears to be the norm, it requires genuine strength to step back from it. And guess what? That's where real respect emerges. When you're the individual who states, "I'm not going to discuss others in that manner," people take note. They might not express it, but they'll hold you in high regard for it. You'll begin to cultivate a reputation as someone trustworthy, someone focused on what truly counts, not on trivial disputes. That's a compelling way to live. So the next time someone initiates gossip, remember this. It's a choice. You can either dive into the conversation and diminish the trust others have in you, or you can take the Stoic route, remain silent, and concentrate on what's within your grasp. You might be astonished at how much more serene life becomes when you stop fretting about what everyone else is doing and concentrate on becoming the best version of yourself. Believe me, the respect you'll earn from this is infinitely more gratifying than any fleeting thrill you derive from gossip. Habit 2. Being passive-aggressive. Let's face it, we've all resorted to it at some point. It's that classic, "I'm fine" response, even though you're clearly not. Or when someone requests something from you and you respond, "Sure, whatever," while internally plotting their downfall. It seems like a clever way to sidestep confrontation, right? You're not directly instigating a conflict, but you're still expressing your frustration. The issue is that passive aggression resembles trying to communicate with smoke signals in a thunderstorm. It's ineffective and leaves everyone perplexed and annoyed. I once thought being passive-aggressive was a cunning strategy. Why argue or be straightforward when you can throw a little shade and make the other person feel bad without articulating what truly bothers you? But here's the catch. No one can read minds. And if they can, they're likely ignoring those passive-aggressive cues intentionally because it's tiring. Instead of resolving the problem, you create an awkward tension where nothing gets settled and everyone feels irritated. You feel exasperated because they didn't intuitively grasp what's wrong, and they feel frustrated because you're pretending everything is fine when it clearly isn't. Stoicism provides a clear solution to this behavior. The Stoics valued honesty and transparent communication, viewing it as a way to coexist harmoniously with others. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the significance of speaking the truth as it is, without concealing emotions. When you're passive-aggressive, you're doing the opposite. You're concealing your true feelings because you fear conflict or vulnerability. But the reality is that avoiding confrontation doesn't eliminate the problem, it merely allows it to fester. Eventually, that unspoken resentment will erupt in a far uglier manner. Being passive-aggressive is akin to emotional dodgeball. You think you're sidestepping the issue by not being direct, but in reality, you're just bombarding others with your frustration in a way they can't rectify. It's like setting a trap that no one is aware of, and then being upset when they don't fall into it. It's unjust to you and to those around you. The most unfortunate aspect is that passive aggression can make you appear difficult to deal with, manipulative even. It transforms what could be a straightforward conversation into a guessing game where no one wins. The Stoic approach here is straightforward yet powerful. Communicate openly and directly. Yes, it might be intimidating initially, especially if you're accustomed to hiding behind passive aggression to avoid conflict. However, I assure you, being candid about your feelings saves you significant emotional energy over time. It involves being vulnerable, certainly, but also being strong enough to say, "This is what's bothering me," without expecting someone else to decipher it. People value honesty, even if it's uncomfortable. More crucially, you begin to respect yourself when you cease playing games and start having genuine conversations. I'll be candid. The first time I genuinely articulated my feelings instead of sending a veiled text or giving someone the silent treatment, I was terrified. Yet, it was also liberating. Rather than evading You're familiar with the routine, Mr. Deadline. Oh, the Wi-Fi failed, late to a meeting, traffic was terrible, didn't complete something vital. Well, no one informed me of the due date. This continuous deflection of blame may feel like a protective measure against criticism, but here's the reality. When you consistently shift responsibility, you're doing the exact opposite of what you believe. You're not avoiding responsibility, you're avoiding personal growth. And guess what? People notice. Here's the hard truth. When you're perpetually passing the blame, people start to see you as unreliable. You become the person no one can depend on because nothing is ever your fault. And worse still, you're depriving yourself of the opportunity to improve. Each time you evade taking responsibility, you miss out on a chance to learn something, to grow as a person. The Stoics possessed a powerful perspective on this matter. They believed that the only true control we possess is over ourselves, our actions, our responses, our decisions. Epictetus once stated, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When you're blaming external factors, whether it's traffic, technology, or other individuals, you're relinquishing your power. You're telling yourself, "I'm not in control of this situation." But here's the hard truth. Accepting responsibility and admitting your mistakes is the most empowering action you can take. Why? Because when you acknowledge it, you can rectify it. You can alter the outcome. I recall a time at work when I missed a significant deadline. My immediate instinct was to pull out my usual list of excuses. Too much on my plate, didn't receive the email on time, technical difficulties, you name it. But then something clicked. I realized that none of those excuses would improve the situation. They wouldn't change the fact that I had let things slip. So I opted for a different approach. I approached my boss and simply stated, "I messed up. I didn't manage my time effectively. I'll do better next time." And you know what? My boss didn't go into a frenzy. No one panicked. In fact, my boss respected me more for taking responsibility, and I felt a sense of relief for not hiding behind excuses. This is where Stoicism truly excels. It teaches us that taking responsibility isn't about admitting defeat or appearing weak. It's about seizing control of our lives. When you take accountability for your actions, you reclaim your power. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and start becoming the architect of your own life. And here's the essential fact. No one expects you to be flawless. People merely want you to be truthful and accountable. When you can assess a situation and say, "Yes, I could have performed better," you are already on the road to growth. That's where genuine respect emerges, both from others and, more importantly, from yourself. One of the most challenging lessons I've learned is that excuses don't shield you. They ensnare you. They keep you trapped in a cycle of mediocrity, because if everything is perpetually someone else's fault, then there's nothing for you to enhance, right? Wrong. When you cease making excuses and begin taking responsibility, everything transforms. You start noticing areas for improvement. You begin learning from your mistakes instead of fleeing from them, and the individuals around you. They start trusting you more because they recognize you as someone who won't shift the blame when things go awry. So, the next time you feel tempted to attribute a mistake to something or someone else, pause. Ask yourself, what aspect of this is within my control? You might be surprised by how much is. Own your errors, and you'll discover that people respect you more, not because you're perfect, but because you're genuine. Stoicism teaches us that life is about concentrating on what we can control, and when it comes to responsibility, that's one of the most empowering lessons you can adopt. Remember, it's not about always being right. It's about acknowledging when you're wrong and learning from it. That's where real strength resides. Habit 4. Poor hygiene. This is one of those matters that appears self-evident, yet it's astonishing how frequently people disregard it. We're discussing the basics here. Regular showers, brushing your teeth, clean clothing. It seems straightforward, right? Yet, somehow, we all recognize that person who doesn't seem to prioritize these aspects. Trust me, it influences how people perceive you. Stoicism instructs us on the significance of self-respect. And honestly, hygiene is one of the most fundamental ways to demonstrate respect for yourself and others. To be clear, hygiene encompasses more than just smelling pleasant, although that's certainly a part of it. It involves conveying to the world that you value yourself enough to care for your body. You might think, well, if I'm a good person, individuals will overlook how I appear or smell. But here's the unpleasant truth. People notice when you neglect your hygiene. They begin to question what else you might be disregarding. It may not be fair, but it's the reality. Poor hygiene can imply to others that you're disorganized, unreliable, or even lazy. And the Stoics recognize that our external actions, what we do with our bodies, how we present ourselves, reflect our internal state of mind. Everything is interconnected. Stoicism emphasizes paying attention to what's within our control, and hygiene is something we can manage entirely. It's the most straightforward way to demonstrate that you're on top of your life. Marcus Aurelius discussed the importance of physical cleanliness as a form of discipline, and it's true. Caring for your hygiene is an act of discipline. It involves doing what needs to be accomplished, even when you lack the motivation. Let's be honest, some days you might not feel like showering or brushing your teeth, especially during tough times. But here's the reality. Taking care of your physical body can genuinely help lift you out of that mental slump. When you're not feeling your best, whether it's due to burnout, stress, or a bad day, neglecting hygiene might seem like an easy shortcut. I've been there too, dragging myself through challenging periods and allowing the basics to slide. But what I failed to realize is that neglecting my hygiene was pulling me down even further. It became a vicious cycle. The worse I felt, the less I cared for myself, and the less I cared for myself, the worse I felt. It wasn't until a close friend pulled me aside and said, "Hey, are you okay? You seem off lately," that I recognized how far I'd let things go. That was a pivotal moment for me. Stoicism teaches us that looking after ourselves, both mentally and physically, is a responsibility. It's not merely about looking good for others, it's about feeling comfortable in your own skin. When you let go of basic hygiene, it's almost as if you're telling yourself, "I'm not worth the effort," and that mindset can spiral into more profound issues. Conversely, something as simple as a shower or clean clothes can transform your entire outlook. It's odd but true. When you tend to the minor details, it provides you with the momentum to address the more significant issues. Hygiene serves as the foundation of self-care. If that's unstable, everything else becomes more challenging. And from a practical standpoint, good hygiene is a manifestation of self-respect that garners respect from others. Individuals will take note if you care for yourself, even if they don't vocalize it. It eliminates one more obstacle to connecting with others. You won't need to be concerned about whether someone is avoiding sitting next to you or if they're distracted by something else. You present yourself as your best self, and that's what Stoicism embodies, being the finest version of yourself, regardless of external circumstances. So, if you've been neglecting the basics, consider this your nudge to take a step back and reset. Grab that soap, brush those teeth, wash your hair, not for anyone else, but for yourself. Because when you feel clean and composed, life seems a bit easier to navigate. Remember, hygiene is not solely about appearances. It's about demonstrating that you value yourself and are prepared to face the world with dignity and confidence. And believe me, the people around you will value it too. Habit 5. Constant complaining. I understand that life can throw unexpected challenges our way, and it's refreshing to vent occasionally. However, there's a delicate line between healthy venting and falling into the trap of incessant complaining. You know the type, someone who finds a reason to grumble about everything, regardless of how good things might actually be. It's too hot, it's too cold, the coffee is too weak, the Wi-Fi is too slow. They could be lounging on a beach in paradise and still find something to complain about. If you're thinking, "I don't know anyone like that," it might be worth checking if that person is you. I've experienced it myself. Complaining is one of those habits that appears harmless initially, but it gradually brings you down and pulls everyone else down with you. At first, it might seem like you're just being honest or releasing pent-up emotions, but when it becomes habitual, it portrays you as someone who solely focuses on the negative. Here's the reality. People start to distance themselves from negativity. If every time you speak, it's to express dissatisfaction with something, even those closest to you will begin to keep their distance. No one wishes to be around that persistent cloud of negativity. Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot control our circumstances, we can control our reactions. Complaining often becomes our go-to reaction when things don't unfold as we desire. But here's the twist. When you're perpetually fixated on what's wrong, you're training your mind to overlook what's right. Complaining morphs into a habit, a mental loop that binds you in negativity. Epictetus stated, "We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgments about them." Each time we complain, we reinforce those negative judgments instead of seeking solutions, or better yet, accepting what lies beyond our control. The Stoics would argue that when you're ensnared in a cycle of complaining, you're squandering energy on aspects you cannot influence and overlooking what you can. It's a shift in mindset. Instead of concentrating on the negatives, you begin to focus on what you can do to improve the situation. And if you can't alter it, then let it go. Complaining resolves nothing, it only magnifies the issue and keeps you trapped. Once I realized this, I consciously made an effort to prevent myself from complaining whenever I felt the urge. It wasn't easy at first, but over time, I noticed a significant change, not just in how others reacted to me, but in how I perceived myself. The truth is, constant complaining stems from a sense of powerlessness. It's akin to saying, "I can't change this, so I'll just dwell on what's wrong." Yet Stoicism reminds us that there's always something we can do, even if that action is merely shifting our perspective. Marcus Aurelius frequently wrote about gratitude as a means to counter negative thinking. By focusing on what you appreciate, you leave no room for complaints. It's a practice that requires time, but is worth the effort. Instead of lamenting about a cold office, I began to think, at least I have a job in a place that's comfortable enough to work. This change in perspective doesn't alter the situation, but it transforms how you feel about it. And here's the most rewarding part. When you stop complaining, people notice. They feel a sense of lightness around you. You become the individual who enhances conversations instead of dragging them down. People gravitate towards positivity, those who prioritize solutions over problems. While complaining might offer a brief release in the moment, it never leads to personal growth or progress. It simply keeps you entrenched in negativity. However, when you start cultivating gratitude, even in the smallest aspects, life appears different, lighter. The people around you will thank you for it too. So, the next time you catch yourself about to complain, whether it's about the weather, your job, or the fact that the coffee doesn't taste quite right, pause and ask yourself, is this something I can change? And if not, is it worth my energy? Instead of succumbing to the habit of complaining, seek out one thing, no matter how trivial, to appreciate. It won't just alter how others view you, it will transform how you view yourself. That's the essence of Stoicism, making conscious choices in our responses, no matter what life throws our way. Habit 6. Being chronically late. This is one of those habits that can gradually creep up on you because it doesn't always seem significant at the outset. You might think, oh, I'm just 5 minutes late. No one will notice. But here's the reality. Those 5 minutes accumulate, and before you realize it, you've become the individual who is perpetually late. Whether it's for a meeting, dinner with friends, or casual get-togethers, People begin to anticipate that you'll never arrive on time. Trust me, it conveys a message, one that you may not even be aware of sending. In the past, I was that person. I thought being fashionably late was insignificant. In fact, I even found it somewhat appealing, as if it added an air of mystery. But let's be honest, there's nothing stylish about it. When you're consistently late, what you're actually conveying to others is, "My time is more valuable than yours." That's the underlying message, regardless of your intentions. The more I engaged in this behavior, the more I recognized that it was not merely about managing time. It reflected deeper issues, such as my respect for others, and even my anxiety about being wholly present in different situations. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of discipline and being fully engaged, including arriving on time. When you're late, you're not only disrespecting someone else's schedule, you're also disregarding the chance to be fully present in life. Marcus Aurelius often spoke about treating each moment as invaluable, since time is something we can never reclaim. Every time you're late, you're not just wasting others' time, you're squandering your own. The Stoics advocated for being present and making the most of our time, and arriving late contradicts that principle. Moreover, tardiness often relates less to poor time management and more to avoidance. Sometimes we're late because we're trying to sidestep something, perhaps the anxiety of a significant meeting or the reluctance to confront a tough discussion. Personally, I came to realize that I was using lateness as a protective mechanism. If I arrived late, I wouldn't have to be the first one there, fully present and ready to engage. It was a way to shield myself from uncomfortable situations. But here's the reality. Stoicism encourages us to confront life boldly. Avoiding discomfort doesn't eliminate it. It merely postpones the inevitable. Being late often signifies evading the reality before you. The Stoics believed that virtuous living means taking responsibility for our actions, and being late is something you can absolutely control. It involves valuing yourself enough to fulfill your commitments and respecting others enough to acknowledge their time. When you strive to be punctual, you're communicating to the world, "I honor your time, and I value mine as well." It's a minor detail that can significantly influence how others perceive you. You become someone who is dependable, trustworthy, and fully present. I had to implement substantial changes in my life to break the habit of tardiness. I began setting alarms earlier, strategizing my day more carefully, and most importantly, I transformed my mindset. Instead of thinking, "I can get away with being 5 minutes late," I started considering, "I want to respect this commitment by arriving fully and on time." And believe me, it made a tremendous difference. Not only did people take notice, but I felt better too. I wasn't rushing in at the last moment, stressed and flustered. I was composed, prepared, and ready to engage with whatever was unfolding. So, if you're someone who constantly runs late, it's time for a change, not just for the sake of others, but for your own benefit. Start by being honest with yourself about why you are late. Are you avoiding something? Are you failing to prioritize your time? Once you confront the reasons, you can begin to make the necessary adjustments. Set alarms earlier, leave your home 10 minutes before you believe you need to, and practice the Stoic principle of being present in life as it unfolds. The more you adopt this approach, the more respect you'll earn from others and from yourself. Because here's the reality. Being punctual isn't only about respecting others, it's about demonstrating that you value your own time and the moments you possess. Habit 7. Playing the victim. This is a challenging habit to overcome because, truthfully, it feels safe. When things go awry, it's easy to slip into that mentality of, "Why does this always happen to me?" Or, "It's not my fault, it's just bad luck." It can be comforting to think that the universe is against you, like you're the protagonist in a tragic narrative that keeps getting rewritten for the worse. But here's the truth. Playing the victim is not only exhausting for those around you, it's also draining for you. More importantly, it's a trap. It keeps you confined in a repetitive cycle with no escape. When you adopt a victim mentality, you're relinquishing your power. You're handing over control of your life to circumstances, to others, to factors beyond your influence. It may feel comforting in the moment, but it ultimately serves as a form of self-sabotage. Stoicism, on the other hand, espouses the exact opposite viewpoint. The Stoics believed that while we cannot regulate everything that occurs to us, we can always determine how we respond to it. Epictetus stated, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That's the crux of the matter. When you adopt a victim mentality, you're reacting to life as if you have no control over what happens next. But the truth is, you possess more control than you realize. Life will inevitably present challenges. That's a given. What truly matters is how you choose to navigate them. Will you sit back and declare, "This is simply my bad luck"? Or will you inquire, "What can I learn from this? How can I grow?" Playing the victim frequently arises from a place of fear, fear of failure, fear of inadequacy, fear of confronting your mistakes. It's simpler to assert, "This isn't my responsibility," than to gaze into the mirror and ask, "What could I have done differently?" And believe me, I understand how difficult that can be. There was a time when I couldn't accept that some of my challenges were of my own making. It was easier to blame circumstances, other individuals, or sheer bad luck. But the moment I ceased that behavior was the moment my circumstances began to shift. When I accepted my role in situations, both the positive and the negative, I recognized that I held the power to alter my life. Here's the crucial point. Playing the victim doesn't only harm you, it also affects those around you. It's draining. No one wants to be in the presence of someone who is perpetually in a state of "woe is me." It's akin to a dark cloud that trails you everywhere, and eventually people begin to distance themselves. They might initially feel sympathy for you, but over time, that empathy transforms into frustration. Why? Because deep down, individuals understand that you possess the capacity to take control, and watching you refuse to do so is frustrating. They see the potential within you that you're failing to tap into. The Stoics would suggest that when you adopt a victim mentality, you miss out on an incredible opportunity for growth. Marcus Aurelius consistently reminded himself that life's obstacles were, in fact, chances to cultivate virtue. Instead of perceiving setbacks as personal assaults, he viewed them as avenues to strengthen his character. What if, instead of asking, "Why does this always happen to me?" you asked, "How can this make me stronger?" That shift in mindset can change everything. Suddenly, life isn't occurring to you, it's happening for you. Each challenge becomes an opportunity to evolve into a better version of yourself. The Stoic approach is straightforward yet impactful. Take ownership of your life. When you cease playing the victim, you begin to take responsibility for what occurs next. It's not about blaming yourself for every misstep. It's about recognizing that you always possess a choice in how you respond. That's where your power lies. When you stop waiting for the world to change and start transforming yourself, remarkable things can unfold. You begin to feel less like life is happening to you and more like you're in control of your own destiny. So, the next time you catch yourself slipping into that victim mindset, take a moment. Ask yourself, am I genuinely powerless here, or am I simply afraid to take charge? Shift your perspective from, "Why is this happening to me?" to, "What can I do about it?" When you stop playing the victim, you step into a place of strength. You reclaim your power. Life will still present challenges, that's an inevitability. But rather than being overwhelmed by them, you'll stand taller, ready to confront whatever lies ahead. That's the strength of Stoicism, and that's the empowerment that comes from taking ownership of your life. Remember, life doesn't happen to you, it occurs for you. Each challenge, every setback, and every negative habit you overcome presents an opportunity to grow, to become stronger, and to live with greater purpose. You possess the power to take control of your life, to rise above these habits, and to be the finest version of yourself. If you found this video beneficial, be sure to check out one of the suggested videos on your screen for more insights to keep you on your path. Thank you for being a part of Vicious Stoic, where we pursue progress, not perfection. Stay resilient, and I'll see you next time.